Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I've been busy. So similar to how I did like a Star Wars tier list, where I tier listed all the different Star Wars movies, I thought, I'm a huge fan of the director David Lynch, and I haven't really talked about any of his work since my big Twin Peaks series about last year. So it's a good time as ever to rank every movie he's done and all three seasons of Twin Peaks. So let's get started. So his first movie was Razorhead, which, in my opinion, was a really good movie. It's a great way to start. It showcases all of his major themes of fear and stuff. It's really creepy. Explores the fear of fatherhood. For a first movie, I think it's really good. It's not his best work, but it's definitely a classic. So I think I'm gonna put it in B because it's a great movie. Um, really eerie and creepy. Like it's not like, oh, that's so scary. It's more like unsettling, which I think is what David Lynch does best. Moving on to his second movie, we have Elephant Man, which is very different from Lynch's other works because it's not really supernatural in any way. It's very like, well, it's a biography, based on something that actually happened, and it stars John Holt in it and Anthony Hopkins, and both of them are very good in it. It's probably his most famous movie for people who don't really watch David Lynch movies. They're like, "Oh, I've seen The Elephant Man." It's a great film. I highly recommend it. The I don't know, John Holt's acting in it is so good, considering he has like all those prosthetics. The fact that he's able to act so well is very commendable. Um, no spoilers, but it's a John Holt movie, so I'm sure you know how his character ends. I'm gonna give this an A. I think it's one of his greatest movies, Lynch's greatest movies. Let's move on to Dune, 1984 version. So I have to admit I haven't seen it specifically because David Lynch said I don't like that movie. Like Lynch himself condemns his own movie, so why would I want to see it? If the guy who made it doesn't like it, I don't see why I would want to watch it. Sorry, Kyle MacLachlan. You're the best, but sorry. Moving on to Blue Velvet. This is also a great movie. It's kind of the prequels to Twin Peaks. Not only that it has Kyle MacLachlan in it, but it also kind of has the same like small town feel to it. Well, like at first you think the small town's awesome, and then you realize the small town actually has a bunch of bad people living inside of it. It kind of has that. Dennis Hopper's really creepy as Frank Booth, and Laura Dern's really good considering it's like her first major movie role. She's very good in it. Kyle MacLachlan, like I said, he's awesome. So yeah, all around great movie. Creepy, a little bit suspenseful. Jack Nance is kind of funny playing a thug. He's just like in the background creeping, trying to be menacing, but he isn't, which is it's kind of funny. So let's bring ourselves to the first season of Twin Peaks. I think this is definitely one of his best works. I'm gonna put it in the A tier because it's just like nothing that has ever been shown on television before. They're able to balance so many different genres with it. You have horror 1 minute, you have comedy, you have suspense, romance. Like they make fun of soap operas, but it's also kind of a soap opera itself. It's like such a new, innovative concept that hasn't been done before, and that's probably why it's so well regarded today. People still watch it all the time, and it's a great show. Season two kind of took a step back. Now I like season two, but in my opinion, it's not as good as season one. I'd say like the first 9 episodes are really good, and the last 5 episodes are good. It's just those 8 episodes in the middle. It's kind of a slog to get through. It's just not it's because Lynch left the series to work on Wild at Halt. Also, they kind of resolved the Laura Palmer thing early because the networks wanted them to, but they were going to wait to reveal it. So they kind of left like all these episodes where nothing interesting happened, just a bunch of random backstories, a bunch of random side stories like Ben's Civil War plot or James's bike adventure. It was bad, but the way it started was really good, and the way it ended was really good. So I, yeah, I recommend finishing season two, getting through season two, because that's cliffhanger at the end is so good. I don't really want to spoil much about any of these stuff, so I'm just going to try to keep my descriptions brief. Moving on to Wild at Heart, I think it's a good movie. I feel like it kind of loses its way halfway through. Like it's good, but it's not one of his best work. I'd say the best part about it is probably the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. It's a very fun movie. I like the music. I like the Elvis references. I like the Wizard of Oz references. So it's a good movie, but not really one of my favorites by him. It's kind of like middling for me. It's not the most memorable one, except for this one with Jack Nance, who's like, "I got a dog." That's a very memorable scene. Moving on to Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. Now, this is actually an S tier. I think it's better than the original series. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but it's just much darker and more personal. Plus, you get to see like the backstory of Laura Palmer. It's also like David Lynch without any network restrictions, so he could do pretty much any of the weird shit he wanted to. So he has all the stuff. You see cameos by people like David Bowie or Chris Isaac, Kiefer Sutherland on it, and it's just a very strange movie. It's a very sad movie. Sarah Lee's acting is fantastic. She's a great actress. Very underrated actress, by the way. I think she does like the best horror scream in all of horror cinema. So definitely recommend watching Firewalk with Me. I know it was panned when it was released because people were expecting it to resolve the cliffhangers of season 2, but it didn't. So people were mad about that. But I feel like looking back now that we do have the new series, it's a lot more high regarded, at least in my opinion. Moving on to Lost Highway. I know my dad likes this movie a lot. I like it too, but in my opinion, it's not one of the best movies. They do a really good job with like dream sequences and kind of like trippy scenes. We're not exactly sure what's going on, so they do a really good job at that. I know the acting's really good, and I don't really remember much about this movie, but I know the soundtrack's good because it's very like menacing and stuff. And I like the shots of them like driving down in the Lost Highway, so that's good. And the ending has a really good twist to it, so I recommend it. Moving on to the Straight Story. Now, this is probably my least favorite Lynch movie. It's not bad, so I'm just gonna put it in D. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen or anything. It's just kind of boring. Like, not that much stuff happens about this guy on his tractor trying to visit his dying brother. Uh, Played by Harry Dean Stanton, by the way, but he's not in the movie that much. It's a good movie, but it's not really like typical Lynch movie. It's just kind of like normal movie. And I don't know, a little boring if you ask me. Not that it's bad, it just, could be better. Could be better. Moving on to Mahaland Drive. This is my favorite non-Twin Peaks Lynch movie. It's just such a good movie. I mean, it's probably one of his more famous ones. So I feel like a normie putting it on top, but it's a great movie. Like the mystery is so complex. Like the way they handle theme, like what's reality, what's real when you're like acting and stuff, the dark side of Hollywood, and the way that the film doesn't really bother explaining itself to you. They have you piece together what happened. You see like different characters played by the same actors, and you try to like wonder like how these people are the same. It's just a really deep and interesting movie. I should make like a whole review talking about it because it's definitely like one of my favorite movies of all time. So highly recommend watching that. It's great. Naomi Watts is great in it. She does a good job of balancing like the free spirited, young, naive actress with the darker, more twisted character. She's really good in that. Like there's a really like theme of duality through much of Lynch's work in Twin Peaks with like Laura and Maddie. See this again in Mahaland Drive. You see it later on Inland Empire. Bringing yes the Inland Empire, I think this movie is very underrated. It's probably the most underrated movie. So I'm gonna put this in the. Ooh, I'm gonna put this in the B tier because I feel like it's a little long. It's a little longer than it needed to be, and it's very trippy. Like Lynch doesn't even try to give you any clues with this one. He's filmed a bunch of random scenes and edited it together. So I respect him for that. Laura Dern's probably really good in that. It's probably her best role. I think maybe that and Big Little Lies. But yeah, he doesn't even try to explain this movie. It's just like a mess. Not a mess in a bad way. It's like a mess in like what the fuck is going on in this movie way. It's 3 hours of her acting confused. It's like an actress who can't tell whether or not she's in a movie or real life. And then there's like a movie inside of a movie inside of a movie. So, and we're watching the movie. So it's like very like meta in a way. It's probably like one of the most meta movies. They out Rick and Morty in a way. Which brings us to Lynch's most recent project until Wisteria whenever that comes out, if it comes out. Twin Peaks: The Return. Now, this is the only Lynch thing I've watched as it came out, because Inland Empire was 2006 and I was only 3. So Twin Peaks: The Return, I watched it like weekly as it came out, and it was so good. It's probably Lynch's best work, out there with these 2 other movies I put in his best work. It's great. Usually when TV shows come back, they're not nearly as good as the original, but like this is better than the original. It's just much more like eerie, creepy. Like I said, like same with Fire Rock with me, Lynch didn't have ABC executives and stuff. It was on Showtime, so he got a lot more creative liberties in what he could do. It's not like he's the most like gory director. That some of the stuff he does is very weird. That's Lynch, the king of weird. And it's just, he's good at like mixing those nostalgic moments where we see the old characters do like the normal stuff and the new stuff with like all these crazy shit like time travel and like doppelgangers. It's great. It's his best work. It's the magnum opus inside of his magnum opus. It's brilliant. I don't know. Seen the original series and you like it, definitely watch this. If you like any Lynch movie, watch this. It's it's a little intense in some parts, but like if you've seen a lot of David Lynch movies, you kind of know what you're expecting. But it's, I don't know, the ending, it also ends on a cliffhanger, and it's probably like one of the most well executed cliffhangers of all time. It's like right up there with The Sopranos ending. The Sopranos ended on kind of a cliffhanger. This ends in a similar way, but in a way you feel like you don't really need to see anymore. So it's a satisfying ending, but also ends on a cliffhanger because you realize Twin Peaks doesn't really need a satisfying ending. Like it doesn't need like a clear cut, this is the end, everybody's happy ever after. That was never the show Twin Peaks was, and I think they did a great job at wrapping up all the storylines, or not wrapping them up, that's more accurate. So that is my list of every Lynch movie / season of Twin Peaks. I've seen all of them except for Dune, so I'm not really biased. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite Lynch movie is, or favorite season of Twin Peaks. I'm a huge Lynch fan. Hopefully Wisteria happens. I know they're having some production troubles behind the scenes, so I really hope it happens. If it does, I'm making a video about that like every episode. I can't wait. So yeah, what other tier lists do you think I should do? Let me know. I think I should maybe do a Marvel one because I think I've seen every Marvel movie. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.